When it comes to legendary actors, Michael J. Fox is a name that instantly sparks admiration, not just for his iconic roles, but for his strength, humor, and grace in the face of Parkinson's disease. But even at 64, with a legacy that speaks volumes, Fox recently made headlines for a surprising and brutally honest revelation. There's someone he doesn't want showing up at his funeral. Who could it be, and why? Stick around, because this story goes far deeper than you might expect. Michael Fox has been making people laugh and feel things for over 4 decades. From the moment he bounced onto our television screens as Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties, there was something special about him. He wasn't just another pretty face in Hollywood. He had timing, charm, and that rare quality that made you feel like you knew him personally, like he could be your friend or your brother or that cool guy from high school who everyone liked. Born in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada on June 9, 1961, Fox didn't start out as a star. He was just a kid from a military family who moved around a lot. His father was a career soldier, which meant the Fox family never stayed in one place too long. Michael grew up in different Canadian towns, never quite putting down roots, always being the new kid. Maybe that's what made him so good at connecting with people. When you're always the outsider, you learn how to make friends quickly. He dropped out of high school at 15 to pursue acting. Think about that for a second. 15 years old. And he was so sure about what he wanted to do with his life that he was willing to bet everything on it. His parents thought he was crazy. Naturally, what parent wants their teenager to drop out of school to chase a dream that almost never comes true? But Fox moved to Los Angeles with barely any money in his pocket, living on Kraft Dinner and optimism. He was so broke that he couldn't afford furniture. He slept on a mattress on the floor and used a phone book as a pillow. He did small roles, guest appearances, whatever he could get. 4 years, he scraped by, going to auditions, getting rejected, going to more auditions. Then came Family Ties in 1982 and everything changed overnight. Family Ties made Michael Fox a household name, but it was Back to the Future that made him immortal. Here's a crazy fact. He almost didn't get the role. The producers initially cast Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly, and they filmed for several weeks before deciding it wasn't working. They fired Stoltz and called Fox, who was simultaneously filming Family Ties. Fox's schedule became insane. He would film Family Ties during the day, then rush over to the Back to the Future set and film all night. He was sleeping maybe 2 or 3 hours a night, running on adrenaline and youth and the sheer excitement of being in what he knew would be something special. When Back to the Future came out in 1985, it became the highest-grossing film of the year. Suddenly, Michael Fox wasn't just a TV star. He was a movie star. A real honest-to-God movie star. The kind of actor who could open a film on his name alone. He was everywhere. Magazine covers, talk shows, award ceremonies. He dated actress Nancy McKeon from The Facts of Life. He was young, handsome, successful, and seemingly unstoppable. This was the mid-1980s. And if you were a teenage girl, or boy for that matter, Michael Fox was probably on your bedroom wall. Teen Wolf came out the same summer as Back to the Future, which meant Fox had 2 hit movies in theaters at the same time. He followed that up with The Secret of My Success, Light of Day, and Bright Lights, Big City. Not all of them were huge hits, but Fox was on a roll, and Hollywood couldn't get enough of him. The Back to the Future sequels in 1989 and 1990 cemented his status. By this point, Fox had proven he could do comedy, drama, romance, sci-fi, pretty much anything. He was versatile, reliable, and audiences loved him. Studios loved him. Directors loved working with him. He had it all. But here's the thing about life. It doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't matter if you're rich or famous or beloved by millions. Bad things can happen to anyone at any time. In 1991, Michael Fox was 29 years old. He was married to Tracy Pollan, whom he had met on the set of Family Ties and married in 1988. They had just welcomed their first child, a son named Sam. Fox's career was thriving. The future looked bright. Then he noticed something weird. His left pinky finger was twitching. Just a small tremor, barely noticeable. He figured it was stress or exhaustion. He was working constantly after all. But the twitching didn't go away. It got worse. His hands started shaking. He had trouble controlling it. So he went to see a doctor, expecting to be told it was nothing serious, maybe just overwork or a pinched nerve. Instead, after a series of tests, the doctor looked at him and said, "You have Parkinson's disease." Parkinson's? An old person's disease? Something that happened to your grandparents, not to 29-year-old movie stars at the height of their careers. Fox didn't believe it at first. He sought second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions, but every doctor said the same thing. He had young-onset Parkinson's disease, a rare form that strikes people under 50. It was progressive, incurable, and would gradually rob him of his ability to control his movements. The diagnosis sent Fox into a spiral. He started drinking heavily, trying to self-medicate, trying to numb the fear and the anger and the grief for the life he thought he'd have. He could have kept quiet about it forever, could have suffered in silence, but the stress of hiding it was eating him alive. For 7 years, Fox didn't tell anyone outside his immediate family about his diagnosis. He continued working, starring in movies and TV shows, all while hiding the tremors that were getting harder and harder to control. He developed tricks to hide his symptoms. If his hand was shaking, he would put it in his pocket or clutch something. He would time his medication carefully so that during filming the tremors would be minimal. He would adjust his acting style, incorporating movements that disguised the shaking. In some ways, it was the performance of his lifetime, pretending to be healthy when he was falling apart inside. He starred in the TV series Spin City starting in 1996, playing Mike Flaherty, a quick-talking deputy mayor of New York City. The role required him to be energetic, physical, and fast-paced. It was exhausting, and Parkinson's was getting harder to hide. Sometimes between takes, his co-stars would notice the tremors. But Fox would brush it off, make a joke, change the subject. The drinking got worse. Fox has been honest about this in interviews and in his books. He was using alcohol to calm the tremors, to take the edge off, to cope with the knowledge that his body was betraying him. He was functional. He never missed work, never showed up drunk, but he was self-destructing in private. Tracy Pollan, his wife, stood by him through all of it. They had 3 more children during this period. Twin daughters Aquinnah and Schuyler in 1995 and daughter Esmé in 2001. Fox has said that his family was what kept him going, what gave him a reason to fight. In 1998, Fox decided he couldn't hide anymore. He went public with his diagnosis during an interview with Barbara Walters, and the response was overwhelming. People didn't turn away from him or pity him. They rallied around him. They admired his courage, his honesty, his refusal to let the disease define him. He stepped away from Spin City in 2000, and his co-stars gave him an emotional send-off. Charlie Sheen took over the lead role, and the show dedicated an episode to Fox's departure. It was the end of an era. But Fox wasn't done with Hollywood. He made guest appearances on shows like Scrubs, Boston Legal, Rescue Me, and The Good Wife, often playing versions of himself or characters dealing with Parkinson's. He showed the world that he could still act, still bring something special to a role, even with the tremors and the medication and the physical limitations. Living with Parkinson's isn't like living with a broken bone that heals or a cold that passes. It's a constant companion, always there, always demanding attention. Fox has described it as mysterious and unpredictable. Some days are better than others. Some moments the symptoms are manageable, and other times they're overwhelming. The tremors are the most visible symptom, but they're far from the only one. Parkinson's affects balance, making it easy to trip and fall. It affects speech, sometimes making it hard to be understood. It causes rigidity in the muscles, making movement slow and difficult. It can affect sleep, mood, memory, and cognition. Fox takes medication to manage the symptoms, but the medication itself causes problems. Levodopa, the primary drug used to treat Parkinson's, can cause dyskinesia, involuntary jerky movements that can be as disruptive as the tremors. It's a constant balancing act, trying to find the right dose, the right timing, to maximize the good hours and minimize the bad ones. Over the years, Fox has had multiple surgeries, including spinal surgery to remove a tumor that left him temporarily unable to walk. He's broken bones from falls. He's dealt with infections, complications, setbacks. Each time he's fought his way back. He's also had to give up things he loves. He can't play guitar anymore. His fingers don't cooperate. He can't type easily. Simple tasks that most people don't think about. Buttoning a shirt, tying shoes, cutting food, require concentration and effort. But Fox hasn't let the disease take everything. He still has his sense of humor. He still has his mind, sharp as ever. He still has his family and his friends, and he still has his mission, finding a cure for Parkinson's. The Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research has become one of the most important organizations in the fight against the disease. Since its founding in 2000, it has funded over $1.5 billion in research, making it the largest non-profit funder of Parkinson's research in the world. Fox threw himself into the work with the same intensity he once brought to acting. He testified before Congress advocating for increased funding for medical research, including controversial stem cell research. He became the face of Parkinson's, using his celebrity to raise awareness and money. The foundation has funded studies on everything from the genetic causes of Parkinson's to potential treatments to quality of life improvements for people living with the disease. Fox is deeply involved in the organization's work, not just as a figurehead, but as someone who understands the research, asks tough questions, and pushes for results. He has written several books about his experience with Parkinson's, including Lucky Man, a memoir, Always Looking Up, The Adventures of an Incurable Optimist, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Future, and No Time Like the Future, An Optimist Considers Mortality. The books are honest, funny, and sometimes heartbreaking. They offer a window into what it's like to live with a chronic illness while trying to maintain hope and humor. Throughout his career, Fox has formed close friendships with many people in Hollywood. Some of these relationships have lasted decades, surviving the ups and downs of fame and the challenges of his illness. His Back to the Future co-star Christopher Lloyd became a lifelong friend. The two have reunited multiple times over the years for anniversary celebrations and charity events. Lloyd has spoken movingly about Fox's courage and resilience, and their affection for each other is obvious whenever they appear together. Fox also maintained friendships with many of his Family Ties cast members, including Meredith Baxter and Michael Gross, who played his TV parents. They've all spoken about how much they learned from working with Fox, how professional and talented he was even as a young actor. From Spin City, Fox developed close bonds with several cast members. They've talked about how Fox never complained about his condition, never used it as an excuse, and always brought his A-game to work, even on days when he was clearly struggling. But Hollywood friendships can be complicated. They're often based on proximity. You're close when you're working together, but when the job ends, you drift apart. Fox has experienced this, as everyone in the industry does. Some friendships last, others fade, and that's just the nature of show business. Recently, in interviews promoting his work and discussing his life with Parkinson's, Fox has started talking more openly about death and what he wants for his funeral. This might seem morbid to some people, but for someone who has lived with a progressive disease for over 3 decades, thinking about the end isn't depressing. It's practical. Fox has always had a dark sense of humor, the kind that helps people cope with difficult situations. And true to form, he's approached the subject of his own funeral with jokes and irreverent observations. According to Fox, speaking in his characteristically humorous way, he's thought about who he would want at his funeral, and more entertainingly, who he'd prefer stayed home. He has joked about certain Hollywood personalities whose presence might turn a solemn occasion into something else entirely. One name that reportedly came up in these joking conversations was Johnny Depp. Now Fox has nothing against Depp personally, he said as much. But Fox has joked that Depp's unpredictable nature and tendency to be, well, Johnny Depp, might turn a calm, dignified goodbye into a spectacle. Depp is known for his eccentric behavior, his unique fashion sense, and his tendency to bring drama wherever he goes, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. Fox, imagining his funeral, has jokingly said that Depp might show up in full Jack Sparrow costume or bring a guitar and start performing or somehow make the event about him rather than about saying goodbye to Fox. It's all said with affection and humor, the way old friends might joke about each other. But there's also a kernel of truth in it. Fox wants his funeral to be low-key, intimate, and drama-free. He doesn't want it to become a Hollywood production or a media circus. He wants simplicity. George Clooney is another name Fox has jokingly mentioned. Clooney, for all his charm and talent, has a tendency to be the center of attention wherever.